safety. He was a free safety a year ago. And now they've kind of, I know from with such a weird offseason with the pandemic, they were kind of thinking for plan B, plan C, plan D, and of course keeping in mind with injuries. So they had all these DBs kind of cross train. I think that's what Gus Bradley called it. They're playing nickel corner from safety to outside. They've been moving these guys around. So the Chargers have a lot of pieces to kind of work with, and at least they've prepared for scenarios to kind of move guys around.
Yeah, and their linebacking core, probably one of the most athletic in the league. Uchenna Nwosu, I thought would be best, put as a 3-4 outside linebacker, but he did so much at USC, and being a former safety, he just has the ability to do that. And then you got Perriman in the middle, and they lost Jatavius. He left free agency, but now you have Kenneth Murray. How has he kind of been playing the whole camp?
Yeah, I think we all kind of took the easy prediction and to say who's going to be the rookie to start is obviously going to be Kenneth Murray, and that's where we're kind of headed. I think he's going to be. I think the kind of surprising is that where was Kenneth Murray going to start? We kind of assumed that, but I guess wrong. I thought he's going to be kind of an outside linebacker because he's so versatile and he can rush a passer and he's so fast. But they don't want to give him too much too fast. So what he did at Oklahoma was kind of focus on the run and be a middle linebacker. So they're going to put him in the middle for now. They haven't announced starters yet, but he's been getting every first team snap there. And Drew Tranquill, kind of the star from the rookie class from 2019, he's going to take over at the weak side. And those two guys are kind of your future, Kenneth Murray and Drew Tranquill. And with the Chargers, they don't really play a lot of, three linebackers. They do a lot of, the nickel packages, so they have, an extra DB there instead of a linebacker. But they have depth. Denzel Perriman has been the middle linebacker the past couple of years. You could throw him in there, in case something happens. You mentioned, Uchenna Nwosu. He's not really a linebacker anymore. Which I think for him is going to be a good thing. I know they kept trying to figure out what to do with Nwosu at linebacker or as a pass rusher. And you could tell Nwosu really just wanted to be a pass rusher. He wanted to go after the quarterback, and I think that's where he does his best work. So now they finally listened to his request, and he's going to be a full-time defensive end. But the only bad thing about that, he's now a backup. He was a starting linebacker the last couple of years. Not really one of those, the ones that you really want to have is either the weak side or middle. But he was a strong side linebacker, which is kind of going extinct nowadays. But now he's for sure a defensive end. The only problem, he has Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram in front of him. But the good thing with the Chargers, they like to rotate a lot of defensive linemen kind of in two waves. So I think there'll be a lot of Nwosu there. But also, if anything happens, again, with the linebackers, he could play linebacker in a pinch and help out there. So the Chargers have a lot of depth in the middle spot.
So I'm just curious, we talked a little bit about defense. We talked about the quarterback position. We got Hard Knocks. We got the new stadium, which even if there's not fans, it's still, still expected to be playing there. So, headed, now that it's finally here, what are you most excited about for the upcoming season, and what, should Chargers fans be the most excited about?
I'm just excited for games to happen.
Yes, sir.
At one point we kind of thought this might not even happen at all. It seemed, when this whole thing started, we kind of thought at first, well, it will go away in a couple months and football will be, will come in the fall. Then as we got closer, we started worrying, how are we going to make this work and put it together with the coronavirus testing and the no fans and the weird thing is it's been smooth so far. You see these numbers for positive tests they've declined drastically. No one's been out yet. We'll see how that works out when the games start. But just having football on TV, I know people are very bummed out not to be at the new stadium, SoFi Stadium, especially for the Chargers. It was kind of their year to prove to people that they have fans in LA. Come see us and show out at the new stadium. So they won't really get to have that that opportunity. So that's kind of it's just a whole weird scenario, from the Raiders to the Rams and the Chargers having these new fancy stadiums and no one's going to be in there. But again, everybody's just happy to have some football games, and I'm a little bummed out that Derwin James is not going to be there. He's one of the guys I love to watch, around the league, regardless of who it is. If I wasn't covering the Chargers, I would I'll probably watch TV just to watch Chargers games to watch him play. So that's kind of a little disappointing. So you kind of lose a little bit of that that luster, that hype of how good can these Chargers be, because people were kind of already riding them off without Derwin James. But just to get to week 1 and to see them go against Joe Burrow, the number 1 overall pick, that should be an exciting game.
Indeed. And I mean, the fact that I don't know what's crazier, the fact that we keep finding like CSUN alums who are all covering the same stuff we want to do, in particular with like football. But because Pete and I were like former offensive linemen, so we just always rib each other constantly and unforgivingly. What was your time like at CSUN?
It was good. I really enjoyed my time at CSUN. Every chance I get to, I know we kind of started off. Hopefully, I don't know if you're gonna put this together from the two halves of my phone call. I'm
gonna let her play. It's too funny. It tells too great of a story.
But the first half, we were talking about, we're making some jokes about CSUN, but just to be on the serious side, I really enjoyed my time, and it was such a great place to kind of, I guess, develop, or as a journalist, I sound like a player, like develop into a star player, but but to produce a journalist, I think it was a good place for me to kind of land. It's weird because we grew up as sports fans. So you think about, you want to go to these big fancy D1 schools, just to have the school pride and go to these games and wear all this gear from whatever UCLA or USC. So I was a little bummed out and get to go to one of those schools. But when I got there and the career I chose as a sports writer, journalism was a great program at CSUN. I learned a lot, especially working at the Daily Sundial. That's where I kind of got all my experience. And the good thing for me, I kind of got lucky. I started there at the Sundial my second year in college. So I got like 3 years of experience working at the newspaper. And people always ask me, what can you do in college to kind of, grow as a journalist? I say, especially if you're a writer, work for the school newspaper, because you sometimes you get access to regular sporting events, and that's just from being at these games or even these collegiate games, especially covering the CSUN men's basketball team. I was there when they were playing UCLA. I was there at Pollard Pavilion. That's all valuable experiences. So for me, I thought CSUN was great.
Fantastic. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate you. And when you definitely listen back to this interview, you're going to be laughing like really hardcore for about a good 30 minutes.
But do you want to go ahead and shout out your social channels and where people can find your work?
Yeah, definitely. You could follow me on Twitter at gmanzano24. That's where I post pretty much all my stories and all my reports there. That's how it is on Twitter. You go there first. But also, I appreciate people who subscribe to our newspaper, newspapers, and our websites. All the clicks and all the anything you guys can do to help out, to read our stories and our coverages. It goes a long way for local journalism. But like I mentioned earlier, we have 11 newspapers. I think if you subscribe to one of them, the LA Daily News, OC Register, Pasadena Star News, you name it, you get all 11 of them. But also, if you ever have any, story ideas or anything you want to talk to me about, just even talk about Chargers, send me an email at gmanzano. Sorry, that's not Twitter. Sorry, it's gmanzano at scng.com. That's an email address. So I gave you a bunch of stuff there. So hopefully whoever listens to this podcast with you guys gives me a shout out.
Awesome. Thanks, Gil. Keep up the great work, man. We'll be watching you and supporting you, and go Moderators.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate
that lineage.
No, man, it's great to talk to two former CSUN alumni, so I appreciate the time, guys.
All right, man. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Fantastic. Really great to have him on. Go ahead, hit that applause button. Like that could have.
Shout out to PG for getting it together for us. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
And Skype, we gotta run the fade or something, because that's.
Hey, I'm gonna tell y'all right now. Use Zoom.
Yeah.
Zoom is the best.
Which is ironic because
they don't cut out for 45 minutes.
No, just keep. You can use Skype for like short calls, but like Zoom is perfect because they can
We should get them to sponsor the show.
I've always heard like terrible stuff about Skype, and then it finally happens, and I'm just like, oh wow.
Yeah, that's so weird. I don't think
I've never had like a bad Skype experience until, but it worked out. But with all that, I'm gonna just go ahead and finish wrapping up this college football stuff. While we're in between,
bro, you're the worst.
Yeah, fact.
You're the worst moderator, bro.
Am I?
You're literally all the worst, bro.
I wanted to ask him a question, like for writers, you know what I'm saying, that covers certain teams. How does it feel when like truly people don't expect your team to win? So like how do you get that energy to really? So you guys are looking like, imagine being a Browns reporter. For years you go in, it's like you really want to show up and say, so are y'all gonna win 5 games this year? You know what I'm saying?
CSUN's basketball seats. So
I think, not to be corny, but I think it's really the relationships with the players. Like even talking to people who covered the Lakers when they're sorry, like just chopping it up with Bob Sacre, like they end
Bob
up
Sacre.
Robert Sacre, Mr.
Don't give him a nickname. He's Robert.
How dare you call him Bob? There's only one Bob, but Bob Garcia.
But I'm just saying, like,
I feel what you're saying.
Like,
you get
they
to
become
have
friends, so you end up rooting for them as your friends or your colleagues or whatever.
Yeah,
like, you start getting those inside relationships, and it becomes a little bit easier. But I mean, at the end of the day, like you said.
Yeah, it's tough. You know what I'm saying? Like,
to capitalize on like something he said for the Chargers proving that they have fans in LA. The last 3 years they get come over here from San Diego, and then they're stuck in this tiny little stadium that's basically filled up with a visiting team at StubHub in Carson.
Hey, are y'all down to sign a petition for me? I'm gonna start a send them back petition to send them back to San Diego.
You're not familiar with petitions and the stance of petitions on this podcast.
Okay.
Mascots get way more done than petitions.
Okay, damn, I didn't know.
You gotta pay attention to our titles, man. Our titles say a lot.
But
I don't know.
It really is a failed opportunity this year with 2020.
Yeah,
with unless everything, but this stadium could have been like, hey, they could have had more fans than the visiting team for at least one game.
Honestly, I think they got bailed out because I don't think it's ready to where it's supposed to be.
I don't think it's the stadium or the team.
I think the stadium itself is probably done, but like the infrastructure around it, like the parking, the lights.
I went bike riding over there and all that stuff. I was like, damn, why is it still like fences up?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think it's where it would be if they were playing on Sunday.
It's like, am I going to the Coliseum right now or the new stadium?
Yeah, exactly.
Am I going to prison? Why are there so many gates?
And this was probably great for the Chargers because they kind of suck right now.
But Allegiant is ready to go. Like, well, they don't have the infrastructure, but they're not building it to the same extent as SoFi.
With the Death Star.
Are you talking about Chiefs?
The fan base is already there.
Oh, okay.
All those stadiums kind of run late around everything else. I lived in Phoenix when that new stadium went up, and it was nothing but farmland around there.
Yeah, that's how Staples was.
Yeah. And it will come. Back to our Field of Dreams reference last week. But but you build it, and they're all going to come. Inglewood, and talk about gentrification earlier. Inglewood's probably going to get gentrified now, and look at that real estate.
If you live over there, please don't sell your home because
it's going to go up. It's going to go up.
Yeah,
keep that house.
It's going to be worth everything. And if I see a white quarterback starting at Inglewood in 10 years, I'm going to be mad as fuck.
That's what it used to be, though.
Yeah, well, the South Bay used to be like all white. Like Torrance had like two black people.
Aren't the Clippers going to be playing over there? Oh, Skype.
I don't have the keyboard. Hello, caller. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hey, my name is David Drogemeyer. I am one of the hosts of the Locked On Chargers podcast, and I am calling from Central Texas.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. That was not on my bingo card. Are you holding up? Did the storm hit you guys, or are you safe?
Yeah, not quite where I'm at. It was more the Houston and Louisiana area. We only just got hit with some rain, but other than that, we've been kept pretty clear.
Cool. It's good to hear. So, as far as kind of the fan experience, because we were talking about it just now with the Chargers.